Welcome. It's Facts You Don't Know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more, and first make sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything.
She couldn't believe he was her father. Now he wore elegant clothes and had a fancy car. Don Beto was a very loving, kind man, a good father and husband, and also a hard worker. Suddenly things would take a completely unexpected and puzzling turn. His life would never be the same again. Mr. Beto was not doing very well, and it is that he had recently been fired from his job due to a small error that he had operated a machine, causing some damage to the work in which he worked. He implored his boss for mercy and that he would pay for the damages that had been caused by the work. And it is at his age, it was already difficult for him to get a job, and this was the only livelihood his family had. Your pleas will be of no use. Now he was unemployed, not knowing what to do. There was still a few hours until the sun went down, so he took advantage of that moment to visit all kinds of places in search of a job. He went to other construction sites, restaurants, warehouses, supermarkets, autoclaves, and all he got was an answer. We are looking for quite young people. Very sad, he started on his way home, where his beloved wife and young son were waiting for him. Upon arrival, he did not have the expected welcome, as his wife had received a call from the company informing her that due to the damage caused by Don Beto, he would not receive any settlement. She was furious and just started yelling at him and telling him that he was good for nothing, that she was never going to be able to do anything right. And she even told him that the worst mistake of her entire life was having married him. Those words broke poor Don Beto's heart into 1,000 pieces. I did not know what to answer. His tears were responsible for silencing him, while he only listened to how his beloved wife unloaded all her anger on him. At that, her son comes over to ask her what was wrong. His wife quickly responds, not letting him even say a single word. She told him what had happened to her son. When the son heard what was happening, she joined her mother in attacking poor Beto. The only thing she expected was the support of both when she returned home. The next day, Don Beto gets up, and when he goes to the kitchen in search of something to eat, before going out to look for a new job, he meets his son, the one who blocked his way, and said, "Yes, in this house, no, you bring money. In this house, you will not eat. Good for something and get out. Go find a job," the teenager told him. And he tried to explain that he would do his best to bring food to the table. But please don't let me even eat a piece of bread. He hadn't eaten since lunch the day before. His wife, hearing that, said, "Seriously? How selfish you are. You can tell that you don't love your son one bit. Now that you don't have a job, you must ensure food for your child. You should be ashamed of yourself." At that moment, someone knocks on the door. Don Beto, to escape the discriminated attack, went to see who he was. Opened the door. He could see a man who was not looking good. He had all his clothes destroyed. He was barefoot and bruised. You are asked to help him. He only asked for a few coins to be able to make a call, since he had nothing, because some men had just robbed him. Don Beto observed him and took out some coins that remained in his pants and gave them to him. The latter, very grateful, thanked him and left. To see what had happened, his son was filled with anger and faced him. He grabbed him by his shirt and put him against the wall where they yelled at him. "Are you crazy? Why did you give the last money you had to that tramp? Most likely he spent it on drugs or alcohol. You never think about it. Get tired of thinking about others, or do you forget that you have a family?" Don Beto left with a look glued to the ground. After spending a few weeks, he was unable to get a job. Where he was going, they rejected him because he was already old. I did not know what to do. All the bills were piling up and the bank was about to take away their house. One of those days when he returned empty-handed, he saw his son and his mother very happy out the window. He came in and asked what had happened. They replied that they would no longer lose the house, that all the debts had been paid. Don Beto couldn't believe it. What had happened? He also asked himself happily and told him that now things would be better and that the next day he would leave very early to look for work. To which his wife replied, Don't worry about that. Now you have to worry about finding a place to live. Your suitcases are in the living room. Don Beto did not understand what was happening. His wife and son had run him out of the house. That same night he had to leave. It was totally destroyed, not knowing what to do. He had no family or friends who could not receive. He had nowhere to go. He just wandered the streets, near what had once been his home, until in a moment he could see another man entering what had been his home. I could not believe what I was seeing. His wife had a lover, and he was the one who had paid all the debts. Don Beto no longer had anything. He had lost everything: work, your home, and most importantly, your family. Despite everything that had happened, Don Beto continued to love his wife and son. I was constantly trying to talk to them. He approached and asked for a new opportunity. What did I get in return? Only teasing and offense. For now it was his turn to live on the street. His life was no longer the same. He no longer had any purpose to live for. Their reasons to fight for a better future already had another life away from him, and they did not want him. Every night was torture for Don Beto. At his age, he now had to sleep in a cold alley, with absolutely nothing to wrap himself in and a soft bed to sleep on. The nights became eternities. He could only think of his family and what they had done to him. The only thing he could do was lie down on a cold sidewalk to cry himself to sleep, or for the sun to rise again to start a new day. One day, to wander the streets in search of some food and a job that everyone had denied for months. One day, he decided to stop by his old house and could see that now his wife and son were not doing very well either. He overheard a conversation between two neighbors about her trying to take advantage and get money from her lover, but he realized it and abandoned them, leaving them without money and with new debts to pay. This only made him feel even worse, and it is that Don Beto thought that everything was happening because of him. If he hadn't made that little mistake that day, he wouldn't have lost his job, and his family wasn't going through this situation. At that, he thought of getting closer again. He had nothing to lose, and his wife's lover was gone. Maybe she'll take pity on him and they'll let him come back. Boy, was I wrong. His wife and son, the moment they saw him, asked him what he was doing there. The best thing was for him to get out and find another family to ruin his life. Beto no longer thought now, but what would he do to survive? Now he had to go house to house, restaurant to restaurant, asking for meal times so as to not starve. One day he approached a luxurious building. He decided to go in to ask for work, but the receptionist refused to let him continue. While the guards, they prepared to run him into the street like a dog. As that bitter scene unfolded, a man who was dressed very elegantly and surrounded by many executives, a businessman, noticed the incident and rushed to stop the guards, warning them not to run him off. The guards stopped on the spot, obeying the order of that man who was none other than the one whom Don Beto had helped and given away the only coins he had, the last money he had earned. The man asked them about what had happened to him, why he was in these conditions, to which Beto told him everything that had happened with his family, and now he was a poor homeless man. This man felt very bad for what he was living and told him, "That day you didn't think twice. You saw me and you helped me. Now I have the opportunity to return the favor. You did me without knowing who I was." The man was nothing more and nothing less than the owner of that elegant building. He was a rich man with big business. He gave Don Beto a good job, a decent job, where he could earn enough money to buy a new house and live the life he so deserved. As time passed, Beto approached his old house. There was his wife and son. They were surprised to see him and even more to appreciate the luxurious car in which he was transported. As well as his elegant suit and appearance, Beto approached his former wife and handed her an envelope full of money and said, "I will never turn my back on them. Despite everything that happened, they are still my family. I will take care of all my legal obligations towards my son, and you will not have to worry, because you are the mother of my son, and you will never go hungry or cold." Before they could say anything, Don Beto turned and left. In the weeks that followed, his ex-wife got to know where he worked and lived. He tried by all means to try to win him back. and he always refused in the most polite and cordial way, until one day he said these words, "You won't need money, but you lost because no one else will love you as much as one day I loved you." Don Beto now wore elegant clothes. He was an honest and hard-working man. Life had rewarded him, and deep down inside, finally, he was grateful. We must know how to appreciate what we have. It will be little or nothing. The most important thing in our lives is our family. They will never abandon us, even in the worst moments. When a loved one experiences adversity, we must not reproach him for anything. On the contrary, we must support him to go out together.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.